Team Fortress 2, besides being a hat-based combat simulation experience, has one of the most vibrant and long-lasting digital economies that has ever existed in a video game. Ever since the implementation of the Manco store, which introduced an in-game shop allowing players to exchange real currency for in-game items, there has been a supplemental trading feature, initially intended to allow players freely exchanging their items for other items. For instance, a weapon they no longer need, that someone else requires in exchange for a weapon they will actually use. Of course, given the basic principles of supply and demand, as well as item scarcity, it did not take long for this simple trading system to expand into a full-fledged economy, with the community going so far as to select a few items as in-game currencies. Manco supply crate keys, which have a consistent real-world value and are used to unlock supply crates that contain random items, became the currency of choice, namely because they are the only means by which new unusual hats, the rarest items in the game, can be acquired. At its peak, the economy of Team Fortress 2 was among the most successful and lucrative video game economies in existence. Its success served as the inspiration not only for trading systems in other Valve titles, namely Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Dota 2, but also for various other multiplayer games and the concept of a loot box in general. Loot boxes are now a staple feature in many multiplayer titles, but they were not particularly commonplace until their implementation in Team Fortress 2. Owning an unusual hat was seen as the ultimate status symbol, a signifier of not only dedication to TF2, but also being part of an elite club of people able to own and afford such items. For all intents and purposes, these players constituted an aristocratic class, and they quickly formed entire communities centering around not just trading, but specifically the trading of unusual and expensive items. Some even turned this into a legitimate business, buying and selling unusuals in-game, which they would then liquidate into keys, and the keys would be sold for US dollars. Of course, the economy of Team Fortress 2 was a truly laissez-faire free market. There was minimal to no regulation from Valve, and the prices of items were dictated solely by supply and demand, or so it seemed. In actuality, there was a log of item prices, and that log was maintained by the very people most invested into trading. Backpack.tf, a service intended to catalog item prices, quickly morphed from a mere platform for pricing suggestions to an outright Bible, something that virtually every trader worth his salt would reference anytime they were preparing to trade items. Thus, players found themselves in a situation where the richest players of Team Fortress 2 controlled not just a disproportionate amount of capital, as well as a disproportionate amount of the resources necessary to produce new items of value, but also the very mechanisms by which those items would be priced. These players, who collected unusuals in mass and sold them for pure profit, suppressed the value of unusuals dramatically by engaging in what was known as quick selling, often buying unusuals and other normally expensive items for lowball offers and selling them for slightly higher prices for a minor but quickly obtained profit. Since these players constituted a significant portion of the demand for unusuals, the act of quick selling drove down the prices of unusuals across the board. In this way, capital centralized into the hands of quick sellers, and those who had large amounts of capital that they could wield in order to buy unusuals in bulk, did so. The lower class of players, who simply wanted to have valuable items or enjoyed trading for the fun of it, suffered at the hands of these aristocrats as their once rare and desirable hats had simply become run-of-the-mill commodities, easily bought and sold for lowball prices without much thought. Quick sellers continued to artificially manipulate the market by further distinguishing normal unusuals from hats that were obtained through duplication, in which Steam support restored items after an account was hacked, thus duplicating an original item, and hats that had at one point been obtained by scammers, even if the person currently trading the hat was not a scammer themselves. As of this writing, the top 100 backpacks in Team Fortress 2 have a minimum value of $20,000, with the most expensive backpack being valued at $177,000. This draws immediate parallels to income inequality in the United States, specifically that the 1% of the population controls an ungodly amount of capital relative to the broader 99%. There is only one mechanism by which the lower class in Team Fortress 2 will be able to secure the same amount of capital as the higher class: that being an outright communist revolution.
Heavy!
Oh shit!
What the fuck is this?
It is just my literature reading.
The cover is red like commie blood.
You should not judge a book by its cover, soldier.
The cover literally has a tamarind sickle on
It
it.
could just be a book about farming.
And there's the title of the book, The Communist Manifesto.